Welcome back to Part 2 of Module 7, Lesson 2, Write Equations to Represent Relationships Represented in Tables. Yep, it really is that long of a title. This should be a pretty quick finish to this lesson, so let's go ahead and get into it. Sometimes in relationships between two variables cannot be accurately described by a one-step equation. We looked at one of those at the very end of the last video. In those cases, check to see if more than one operation is involved. Consider the following scenario. An online store sells baseball bats. You will pay you will pay for each bat that you order plus a one-time shipping fee. The table shows the relationship between the number of bats ordered and the total cost. Write a two-step equation to represent the total cost C to ship an order of B baseball bats. The output variables increase by the same number 2 as the input variables. Yep, it says look for a pattern, and in the pattern it says that your output values increase by the same number 2 as your input increases. So if you go here, it goes from 6 to 8. 6 plus 8 is 2. It goes from 8 to 10. 8 plus 2 is 10. So, what do you think your plus or minus is going to be here? It's going to be 2. And that's going to be a really good place to start in figuring out how to solve these problems. Now, your textbook here says that the rule includes 2b. It doesn't. It includes 2 plus b because you're adding 2 to whatever you get when you multiply your b value by some number. And that is what they're fixing to prove to us in this table here. They got stuck on the concept of 2, so they tried multiplying each of the number of bats times 2. And when they did that, 1 times 2, it did not equal 6. 2 times 2, it did not equal 8. 3 times 2, it did not equal 10, and so on. So right here, we're proving that this is not just a simple times 2 to get to the next level. There's going to have to be some addition and some multiplication taking place. So the next thing they said was, well, we're still focusing on that increase of 2 between each step. So what if we multiplied 2 times some number and then added a number to it? Well, if you did that, 2 times 1 would be 2, and then plus what would get you to 6? That would be plus 4. 2 times 2 would be 4, and plus what would be 8? That would be 4 again. 3 times 2 would be 6, plus 4 would be 10, and so on. Y'all starting to see the problem right here? So what you have is 2 times the number of bats plus 4 ended up getting you where you were going. Now, me looking at it, I would have thought it would have been different. I would have thought we would have been adding 2 on the end. Clearly, I'm wrong, because this is the answer to this equation. And finally, the last thing you have to do is create a rule here. So the rule we came up with the fact that 2 times some number of bats plus 4 gave us the cost. So down here we can say that our rule is going to be the cost is equal to 2 times the number of bats plus 4. You really have to kind of think about these things and puzzle them out to see how they're all going to work. Let's take a look at another one here. Example 2 says the table shows the total number of necklaces Ari has after a certain number of hours. So, after 1 hour, she has 5 necklaces. 2 hours, she has 7. 3 hours, she has 9. 4 hours, she has 11. Now, what do you notice going on in this in column right here? Sorry, I didn't mean to highlight the other one. What do you notice going on in the in column? Each step, it increases by 2. Now, if that follows the same pattern as what we did last time, we could expect that we're going to be taking 2 times the number of hours and then adding some number to it to get to our number of necklaces. So what they want us to write a two-step equation. First off, looking for the pattern. When the input value h increases by 1, the output value increases by what? It increases by 2. We just discovered that. And therefore we can say that the rule is going to include 2 times h. From here, we're going to keep moving forward. and we're going to figure out what we have to do. Now, first off, if we just did 2 times 1, 2 times 1 is not equal to 5, 2 times 2 is not equal to 7, 2 times 3 is not equal to 9. So we've got to do some kind of addition or subtraction in there to get it the rest of the way. So let's take a look at our next slide here now. So now that tells us that we're going to have to take 2h, add some number to it to get to the n value. So 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 plus what is going to be 5? Well, that's going to be 3. 2 times 2 is 4, plus what is going to be 7? That's going to be 3 as well. And now we're starting to see a pattern here. For the input of 1, if you multiply by 2, you only have an output of 2 because 1 times 2 is 2. In order to have an output of what number did they give us here? They gave us a 5. That's right there. What do we need to add to the 2 to get to 5? We need to add 3 to it. And that's going to lead us directly to actually writing our equation or expression. You can see that expression down here in the bottom. 2 times the number of hours plus 3. That's going to be our expression to find out what n is. Last step is going to be to take and write that as an equation. So we're going to take and use, they like to put the n first, so n is equal to 2 times h plus 3. Check our answer, and the answer checks. These aren't really hard once you take the time to really look at them and think about how everything's piecing together, but you do have to think about it a little bit.